Hey Filthoids! Weapons can be quite expensive in Duet Night Abyss. Crafting one can be quite costly in both the Ludo Memento department as well as the coin department, which makes it all the more important that you pick the correct ones to not just obtain, but also the ones to smelt. So for this video, I picked out a list of the best weapons to help you out across your entire account that'll give you the most benefit for the most amount of characters that you have. So starting out, we've got the number one weapon right here that you probably should be investing in, and that is of course going to be the Wanewraith. This weapon probably has the most usage across the entire cast, and it is for a very simple reason, and that's because it is a skill damage stat stick passive. Now, for basically every single character in the game whose name isn't Psyche, skill damage comes in very small amounts. In fact, there are only two elements that have volition wedges, and that of course is the Animo element and the Electro element. And they're also both the same elements that have skill damage effects on their signatures. What that means is that essentially every single other character in the cast who isn't Outsider or Psyche is going to want to be using Wanewraith for a lot of their damaging effects. And there's also one other reason that makes Wanewraith one of the best weapons to equip on the majority of the cast, and that is of course the Piercing Ascent wedge right here. And that, combined with all of the attack speed increases that you can get, makes this weapon in particular, you can literally just stay in the air the entire time and move through the map at really fast speeds with a lot of control in which direction you're moving. Altogether, this probably makes Wanewraith one of the, if not the most important weapon to invest in, not just in obtaining, but also in the smelts. Of course, it is easy to obtain the first copy because it's given to you, but the smelts are just as important for those skill damage upgrades. Next up, we have the Excresduo, which is going to be a bit lower on the priority than the Wanewraith, because not only is it going to be a bit less splashable because there's going to be a lot more characters who want different ranged weapons compared to the Excresduo, but it's also due to the fact that it's not going to be as important for your traversal or maneuvering around the map because there isn't really any movement tech associated with this weapon. But again, it is going to be a very valuable skill damage passive that even on characters that it's not going to be the best in slot on, it's still going to be an extremely strong option for them, if not the second best option for them. Additionally, because it is also a shop weapon, just like the Wanewraith, you will be able to max smelt it very easily, which definitely makes it a really solid option. Next up, we're going to have two weapons that I'm going to be recommending primarily for the same reason, but they're also going to have two different applications based on their alternate options. And those two weapons are going to be first, the Entropic Singularity, and second, the Destructo. So the reason why I'm recommending both these at the same time is because the primary reason why I'm recommending them is that these two weapons are extremely good at destroying boss stats, putting them on the ground if you equip them on your support characters. Now, I will say the Entropic Singularity is probably going to be a bit cheaper than the Destructo because you really only need to worry about the foldover and celerity, with the majority of the other wedges just being for extra support on trammel or anything else. But you can actually reduce the amount of trammels that you need by smelting the weapon further, but I think the wedge is going to be a bit easier to obtain than the smelts. And the Destructo is going to largely be for that same exact purpose, but might be a little bit more expensive because you aren't going to be able to max out its trigger probability in the same way as Entropic Singularity, or at least not as easily. They're going to be very similar in their effectiveness. I think Destructo is going to be slightly better against destroying boss stats, but of course that is with a higher barrier to investment. When it comes to which ones to pick, Entropic Singularity is going to function a bit better with Lady Nifle if you are planning on using her, but Lady Nifle's preferred weapon is going to eventually be the Embala due to the much higher damage it's going to provide, though the Entropic Singularity is going to be a bit easier to use than that on her. And since Embala is going to be a weakly locked weapon, it is going to be a good alternate option for her in the meantime while you're waiting for those claims to return. And for other characters like Psyche, Destructo is going to be a really good option for increasing her skill range, which helps her significantly when it comes to her mobbing. And a lot of other characters can also benefit from skill range, such as namely Rebecca, probably being one of the best examples. So when it comes to which weapons you're going to want to invest in more when it comes to the Smelts, I'd say Destructo is probably going to be better off with the Smelts. You would probably want both. Investing in at least one of them to give at least one of your supports a really good boss stance shredding option will be very, very good for your account. Now, I did say I wanted these weapons to be relatively applicable across your entire cast. However, this one right here is going to be really good, even though it's only going to be useful on primarily one unit, and that is going to be the Dreamweaver's Feather right here. Now, you would be able to use this on your Fox Hunter if you equip them with the Prime Hunt Down, but of course that would mean you're losing out on an uplift or a Serenity. Let's be honest, it'd be the uplift. You wouldn't drop the Serenity for this. You could technically equip it on them if you need it, though it is going to be best used on Fina. The reason why you're going to want to invest in this, not just obtaining it, especially getting Smelts on it, is because it's going to be an extremely strong attack percent increase. At its base level, it is going to be a 90% attack increase for the entire team, and every single Smelt beyond that, it is going to increase that attack by another 18% per Smelt. So having a max Smelt Dreamweaver's Feather is essentially going to be like putting a plus 10 Scorch Wedge on your entire party, which is going to be extremely good when it comes to damage. In fact, having a max Smelt Dreamweaver's Feather would be almost the exact same attack percent increase that you're getting from your Resonance buffs at level 62. Of course, right now it is locked to the Immersive Theater, meaning that if you want to get further Smelts, you would have to purchase them. But when we get into the weekly rotation, this is going to be a really nice investment going forward, especially because Fina is going to be one of the most universally applicable supports in the entire game. Now, the final weapon that I'm going to recommend, and this is more so getting the initial copy rather than getting Smelts on it, is going to be the Guixu Ratchet. Now, this is going to be a rather unique weapon because it's one of the only ranged weapons that is going to be able to deal continuous damage even while you're performing other actions. And because of this, it's often going to be the best in slot for Lyn, at least when it comes to single target and bossing scenarios. If you want to know how to use it well on Lyn, you should definitely check out my Lyn guide on my channel. But when it comes to other characters, there are other tricks for main DPS units that allow you to perform really well with this weapon. You can use it on Lady Nightfall to both be activating her I6, as well as allowing you to still use her enhanced skill casts through her ult, potentially giving you some more DPS, which would make this another option that you could use on Nightfall potentially, though more so for single target scenarios compared to the Umbala. And it's also going to be an extremely good option for Lisbel once you get her Intron 2, which is going to essentially allow her to constantly stack her combo up to the maximum. Now, I haven't really practiced this myself, but you will be able to search up some guides on YouTube explaining it, and with it being another really good option for some of the other DPS units in this game, I think that puts it at a more than deserving spot to be featured on this list. Now, of course, there are going to be plenty of other weapons that are going to be really good to have and really good to level up, but they are going to be more character specific in their applications. So for instance, when it comes to something like the Rend Husk, while it is going to be generally less useful than the Excresduo across your entire cast, it's going to be much better on Psyche, and also going to be an extremely good option on Outsider. And similarly, weapons like Siren's Kiss are going to be extremely good on Rebecca, and being a decent alternate option on Nightfall for a skill range, if you want to save on some investment for a build such as that. But that is a bit beyond the scope of this video. If you are enjoying my coverage of Duet Night Abyss, be sure to subscribe to my channel so that you never miss a video covering this game. Also, I've got a Discord server, so if you'd like to join up and hang out, talk with me as well as a bunch of other people who are enjoying this game, be sure to click that link in the description down below. Also, if you think that there were any other weapons that maybe were a bit more deserving to be on this list compared to one of the ones that I mentioned, be sure to let me know in the comments down below if you think I'm overlooking anything. And with that all out of the way, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I will see you all next time, Filthoids.